The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Hello, 15-Point Plan friends. This is Jacqueline Smith and my co-host Ryan Greigg here. Today, we are going to dive into a topic that I think a lot of people are going to relate to. I know I do. And we're just excited that you're here with us every week on this journey. And as always, our goal with this podcast and everything we talk about is to help you live a healthier, happier, more energetic and stress-free life. And Ryan, why don't you get us started and tell us what our topic is that we decided to talk about today?
That's right, Jacqueline. The 15-point plan is just simply designed to have us have a higher level of energy and a lower level of stress and shoot to just be the best people that we can be. And one thing that we're realizing, though, is that even when we shoot to be the best people that we can be and we feel like we're the best, is that we're never going to be perfect. In fact, we're already perfect. Dang it, Jacqueline. We're already perfect. And there's this idea of perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on a call with our business partner, Chris Suarez, a week or so ago, and he talked about a couple of these beautiful Japanese words that we had a mastermind around. And we'll probably get into a couple of those at different podcasts. But there's this Japanese saying that Chris brought up that I just so love, and it's a reminder of the balance of impermanence and imperfection in life. And it's called wabi-sabi, 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 not to be confused, right, Jacqueline, with wasabi.
No.
Wabi-sabi. And Chris brought it up on a call, and we talked about this idea of imperfection and impermanence. And, I told Jacqueline that the first time I heard of the story was the story of the woman who woke up every morning, and her husband was a man that would leave the house before she would wake up. And every morning he would make a bagel. And in fact, it was an everything bagel. And those darn everything bagels have, well, everything on them. They've got poppy seeds and sesame seeds and garlic and onions and all the things that we love. And he would toast that bagel every day, and then he would leave. And every morning there'd be these crumbs of garlic and poppy seeds and sesame seeds on the counter. And she started to get really annoyed that every morning she had to clean these things up, until one day she realized the Japanese art of wabi-sabi, the idea of impermanence, and that if he was to pass away, those little poppy seeds and sesame seeds, they wouldn't be on the counter anymore. And she began to think of this idea of, yes, this is annoying that these things are here, but gosh, it's a reminder that my husband is still here. And every single day moving forward, she would see those couple little poppy seeds or sesame seeds and actually now have gratitude because her husband was still there with her. And I thought that was just so powerful and an interesting way to frame the idea of being perfectly imperfect. And that's kind of how our life is that we have to be okay with being perfectly imperfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have definitely battled with perfectionism in my life. I feel like I'm like a recovering perfectionist in a lot of ways. And it's a journey, but one of my favorite quotes that has helped me battle perfectionism in business is by Brennan Burchard. It's, I would rather be a hot mess of bold action, a make it happen, learn on the fly kind of person than a perfectly organized coward. And so I had that on my phone for my first few years in business. And it just reminded me all the time, like, hey, action, even if it's imperfect, will always trump inaction. And it's just given me permission that, things are not going to be perfect. And as long as you're moving forward and you're learning, then that is perfect, right? And in business and in life, I mean, you're just going to be so held back if you allow perfectionism to be your North Star. And one thing I've learned is, like, the people that are most successful in anything, they've failed more than the people who haven't tried because they're, wanting things to be perfect, or they're going way slower because they wanted things to be perfect. The people that are succeeding at a high level, they've just learned to have a different relationship with failure and imperfection. And that was really hard for me to wrap my head around. Like, just to give you context, my friends used to make fun of me because it wasn't uncommon for me when I was younger to, like, spend my time, like, on a weekend literally, like, refolding the clothes in my drawer and, like, organizing my already, like, very organized closet. Like, my house, I had so like, I probably have OCD. And raising 4 boys has cured me from some of that OCD because I'd just literally lose my mind if I didn't let go in some ways, but it's been a real issue for me. I mean, I got straight A's in school. I wanted to be the best at everything, and it was just something that really drove me, but there's pros and cons to everything, right? It's driven me to accomplish a lot, and it can be really heavy on your shoulders if you have this need to be perfect, and you're never going to be. And so it's kind of this endless, like, continually moving target if you're not careful. And it can be really unhealthy.
100%. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to be the best that we can be or shooting for perfection. But I like how you said the most successful people just have a different relationship with failure. And what I heard in that is, yeah, I want to be perfect, but I know I can't, or I know I got to be careful how I say that because I am perfect. We are perfect the way we are. But when we shoot for this perfection or this level of almost unattainability, it's just not possible. So the idea of I'm going to shoot for that, but you know what? I'm okay with failure if I don't get that. I'm just going to try again. I'm going to learn again. I'm going to learn from that and growing ourselves with that. And then looking back and saying, hey, maybe I didn't get 90% growth today, but I got 1%. That's growth.
Mhm.
I'm good with that. I'm good with 1% growth today. I'm good with 2% growth. Oh, maybe I had a big breakthrough and that was a 20% growth or something larger. But sometimes it's just that little 1%. And sometimes maybe we even go backwards. Sometimes we didn't grow today and that's okay.
Yeah, I think a big part of perfectionism is a lot of it's like this all or nothing thinking. And that really held me back in my health goals for a long time because so you got to watch, like, where does it show up, right?
Hmm.
And for me, it was like one of those things where if I couldn't go work out for an hour, then I wouldn't work out. If I
Mm,
couldn't go for my 3-mile walk, I wouldn't go for a walk. If I couldn't get 15 points that day, I just wouldn't track my 15-point plan. If I couldn't, fill in the blank, fill in the blank. And so that all or nothing thinking really changed for me when I realized just what you were saying, like, progress trumps perfection, and perfection is the enemy of progress
hmm
because you can't really progress if your only, I guess, definition of success or progress is perfectionism. And so it was kind of the one of those mindset shifts for me a few years ago when I really feel that I was able to make some healthy shifts in my habits around my health where I might just go for a 15-minute walk, but I might do that 2 times a day. And sometimes that's all I got in that day. But guess
Right.
what? That's a lot better than if I slept in, skipped my workout, and then just didn't do anything because couldn't do, like, the workout that I had planned in the morning, you know?
Right.
And so or with my eating, same thing. It would kind of be like, "Okay, well, I already messed up my plan, so I might as well, go full throttle and have everything I
Oh,
want."
I'm so guilty of that.
And so it's like learning to live in the gray and live in the progress over perfection, um, and changing, I think, maybe what your definition is of perfection. For me, when I started my health journey, like, really seriously, I've had unhealthy health journeys, but when I started my, what I call now, my healthy health journey, I changed one of my goals was I want to be able to eat an ice cream cone
Hmm.
and not have critical thoughts about the fact that I'm eating an ice cream cone. So before, perfectionism was not eating the ice cream cone.
Mm.
And now I had an ice cream cone the other day and I was so happy because I thoroughly enjoyed that ice cream cone. And that was a win for me. So it's like, what is your definition of perfection, if you want to use that word, or progress? And it'll change over time with, as you change and as you evolve and as you grow. And so I think that all or nothing thinking is a huge one. And then also being highly critical. And you've shared on previous episodes that that's something that you struggle with, right? Like you're really critical, like hard on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm the same with you in the ice cream. And I think that's a really, really good example. I think it's a great example for our listeners to take in of like, you know what, it's okay to have an ice cream. Ice cream is one of those things that is when you think of a dessert or something that's quote unquote not healthy, it's probably like one of the first things that comes to your mind. But look, when you eat 90% of the time healthy and you do the workouts, it's okay to have the ice cream. And for you to be able to enjoy that ice cream, that's what it's for. You know,
Mhm.
have the ice cream sometimes. That's okay. And I just think that we are super critical on ourselves, and that doesn't do that any good to eat the ice cream and be critical on yourself. Just enjoy
Yeah.
the ice cream. Be
Might
present
as
with
well
the
not,
ice cream.
yeah, I might as well not eat it if I'm just gonna beat myself up over it anyway.
Yeah, right. And this idea, I think you mentioned also of things are always changing. So we might be at one point in our health journey and we do certain days a week or certain workouts and then now our body's changed over a year or two. So now that's going to change. And then things change over time. Our business is going to change, our life is going to change. And knowing that it's okay to change with that. And if you get to a point where I don't know, an example would be like I traveled recently and I'm flying for a day and then I'm sitting in a chair for 8 hours, 2 days in a row. And then I fly back, I get home at 1 a.m. And typically I would work out and do all these things on my Saturday. Well, guess what? I'm beat. I would got home way later at night. So I'm not going to do that same workout on the Saturday morning. But the progress and the win for me was like, I still got up. I still went into the gym. Did I lift weights and do this crazy workout? No, but I was completely happy with the fact that I sat in my gym, I did some stretches, I adapted based off of what happened that week. So, was it the most perfect workout according to some of the other workouts that I've ever done? No, absolutely not. But was I still getting that point for the day with some movement? Yeah, I was, and I was good with that.
Yeah. I think another that just reminded me of like having kind of like unrealistic expectations or standards for ourselves, like that. And we talked about this last episode too. Like it's okay to bend things. Like when you have a system, you mentioned like the 90%, right? Like if you're doing something at 80-90%, that's where you can have some latitude and you can have like adjust based on what's going on in life. Like right now I'm having a stressful time and I don't want to work out at all. I want to sleep in and I want to eat all of the things.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like my drug, I guess, right? And it's like, okay, well, I do need extra rest, but need to make sure I'm moving my body and I need to make sure that my nutrition is really good and that I'm hydrating. Like Andrea Jones on a previous episode, she said if she could only choose 3 of the 15 points, it would be nutrition, hydration, and sleep, right?
Right.
So it's okay to prioritize sleep and to adjust things depending on what's going on in life, but as long as you're making a healthy and conscious choice about it versus like just going with what feels good, because sometimes what feels good isn't what you need. Um,
Hmm.
right. And so the perfectionism thing, I think, really plays a part when people are unable to maybe reach those high standards that they have set for various reasons. And then they kind of throw the whole system out.
And we compare. I know that I've been guilty of that too, is that we compare our results to others. You know, we hop on social media and we say, man, I've been working out for 6 months and I don't look like so and so. I'm done. And in comparison is the thief of joy. And we know that if we stop comparing and we just look at yourself 6 months ago, you probably made some progress. And we know that every time we hit this new level, new levels, new devils, we're going to get to this point where we think we got it and we've reached a new level. We'll get something new thrown at us. It's going to knock us down. It's going to knock us off our feet, just like we've talked about in the last couple episodes of what to do when that happens. So we have to adjust. We have to grow through that and get to the next level. And that's where the opportunities will come. But it's often when we get those changes in our life and we go, oh, shoot, now this isn't working anymore. I'm just not going to do it. No, just adjust to it, adapt to it. And that's where the breakthroughs are going to come. When you've seen yourself hit that wall and you've adapted and you've grown through that, that's where the breakthroughs of life will come.
Yeah. And I think if you have kind of let go of the 15-point plan, because I know that we've done different challenges in the past, right? Where we post on social media and everything in our group. And I think sometimes if you're not getting the habits in to get the points, and then you see other people with like oh, I got 14, oh, I got 15, then you just throw your hands up in the air, like you just said, and you're like, I'm done, right? I'm not getting that. Instead of saying, okay, the 15-point plan is actually meant to go everywhere with you in life, and you can change the definitions of your 15 point. Like I said, there's some times in my life where winning the point was not eating the ice cream cone. And I'm in a season where it's like I'm really working on my self-talk around my relationship with food. And so for me, it's almost like I got to eat the ice cream cone and to be able to work on my self-talk around it. And because I'm working to overcome that. And so your 15 points, how you get the point, it can change over time. Like, I bet you Ryan's point for movement, his definition on whether or not he got that is very different than mine. So mine is, did I move my body for at least 30 minutes today? And it could be just a walk for me. And that's for me. Chad Himes, nope, walking does not count, right? And so we're all at different levels. And so I would just challenge you that if you have gotten off track with the 15 points because you just felt like you couldn't do it, maybe rewrite the definitions of each of those things for you so that it's something that has a framework for you. That's what it's meant for, but it's something that you can adapt and it can grow with you through life. And it's not about perfection. It's about self-care. And it's about setting yourself up for success by making sure we're doing these small daily habits that give us the best chance of handling things, having emotional regulation, right? When things aren't going our way. If I'm tired and I'm not eating right and I'm not moving my body, like I'm not going to be able to be emotionally regulated in stressful situations, right?
Right.
So the 15-point plan, don't throw it out. Come back to it again and again and adapt it to what you need in that season.
I think that was perfectly said, of coming back to it, adapting of how you need to. And one of the things that I do, I don't know if this will help our listeners, but I talk to myself in the third person, Jacqueline, and I'm constantly rebranding my name. Like I used to have a DJ name, right? And then I got into real estate and I became Ryan Greigg. And then as time went by and I hit this plateau like a year ago, I'm like, it's time for a rebrand. And that's when I became Ryan Park Greigg, right? My Instagram changed. And so if it comes to a time where I'm thinking, should I do this or should I not do this? I just have a saying that, no, Ryan Park Greigg does not do that, because Ryan Park Greigg is the person that I want to be. It's not the person that I was last year or 5 years ago. So for me, it's this game in my head of like, sugar in the office, for example. I just have this rule: I don't eat sugar in the office. That way, if somebody brings in donuts, which they do, it's just like, no, Ryan Park Greigg doesn't do that. It was a rule I created for myself, and I have that saying in my head. And when I say that, Ryan Park Greigg doesn't do that, it's like, again, back to that contract with myself. Oh yeah, you're right. I don't do that. The person that I want to be wouldn't do that. So don't do that, Ryan.
It's good. That's good. So, friends, I hope this was valuable. Progress over perfection. And remember, we are here for you. Find us in the Facebook land on winmategive.com or on Instagram, Ryan Park Greigg and Jacqueline Ray Smith. And we hope to hear from you, and we look forward to having you on our next episode.
That's it. Thanks for listening, everybody. Until next time, take care.